For nearly 3 centuries, the galaxy believed humanity was gone. The last images transmitted from Earth during the final hours of the Sol War showed burning orbital stations crashing through the atmosphere, cities disappearing beneath firestorms, and the combined fleets of the Galactic Coalition surrounding the human home system with overwhelming force. Humanity had risen too quickly, advancing from a divided planetary civilization to an interstellar power in less than 200 years, and the old powers of the galaxy viewed their determination, adaptability, and refusal to submit as a threat to the carefully balanced order they had maintained for millennia. Official records would later describe the destruction of Earth and its colonies as a regrettable necessity to preserve peace. But everyone knew the truth. Humanity had refused to surrender its sovereignty, refused to accept economic control by the larger empires, and refused to become another obedient member species. The Coalition expected a short war. Instead, they fought humans for 17 brutal years across dozens of star systems, and every victory they achieved came at a cost they had never experienced before. Human ships continued fighting after losing engines, after losing weapons, and sometimes even after losing entire sections of their hulls. Human soldiers defended worlds that military analysts had declared impossible to hold. Human civilians converted mining equipment into weapons, cargo ships into carriers, and agricultural colonies into fortress worlds. The galaxy had never encountered a species that viewed survival itself as a form of resistance. Eventually, however, numbers prevailed. Earth burned, Mars fell silent, and the remaining colonies vanished one by one into the darkness beyond Coalition space. The Senate declared humanity extinct. Memorial monuments were erected celebrating the victory that had supposedly saved civilization from human expansionism. Trade resumed. Borders stabilized. Generations passed. Humanity became a cautionary tale, taught to young cadets about the dangers of ambition and defiance. Then, 287 years later, a listening station on the outer edge of Coalition territory detected something impossible. Thousands of hyperspace signatures appeared simultaneously beyond the galactic rim, in a region believed to be empty intergalactic void. At first, analysts assumed it was a sensor malfunction. Then the signatures multiplied. Entire walls of contacts emerged from hyperspace with perfect formation discipline, moving in complete silence toward the old borders of human territory. Recon drones sent to investigate never returned, but they transmitted enough images before disappearing to spread panic through military command centers across the galaxy. The vessels approaching were unmistakably human in design, yet they dwarfed anything ever built during the Sol War. Some stretched for dozens of kilometers, carrying enough firepower to destroy moons. Others appeared less like ships and more like moving cities wrapped in armor kilometers thick. Their hulls bore no military insignias, only a single symbol repeated across every vessel: a blue sphere surrounded by stars, the ancient symbol of Earth itself. The first message arrived exactly 6 hours later on every communication frequency in known space. It contained only one sentence: humanity remembers. Panic spread faster than the fleets themselves. Governments denied the reports, then confirmed them, then begged for negotiations. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Senate were called for the first time in over a century. Fleets were mobilized, defenses activated, ancient alliances restored overnight. None of it mattered. Humanity did not invade with the fury everyone expected. Their revenge was far colder than anger. The first targets were not civilian worlds or population centers, but the monuments celebrating Earth's destruction. Massive kinetic strikes erased them from existence with such precision that nearby buildings remained untouched. Then came the military archives, the shipyards that had built the invasion fleets, and the command centers responsible for planning humanity's extermination centuries earlier. Entire naval bases vanished in pillars of white light visible from orbit. Human fleets bypassed worlds that surrendered and annihilated those that resisted with terrifying efficiency. Every operation followed a pattern that quickly became clear. Humanity was not attacking species. Humanity was erasing responsibility. Admirals who had ordered orbital bombardments disappeared when precision strikes destroyed their family estates and government compounds. Dynasties that had grown rich from the seizure of human worlds watched their economic networks collapse overnight as invisible cyber assaults erased centuries of wealth. Governments that had voted for extermination found their fleets disabled, their defenses neutralized, and their leaders standing trial before broadcasts transmitted to billions across the stars. Humanity had spent nearly 3 centuries in exile beyond the galactic rim, surviving on rogue planets and artificial worlds hidden in darkness between galaxies. During that time, they had rebuilt everything they had lost and perfected technologies the old empires could barely comprehend. They mastered stellar engineering, weaponized gravity itself, and learned to move entire fleets without hyperspace gates or navigation relays. But the most terrifying thing they had developed was patience. Humans had waited through 11 generations for the exact moment when every architect of their destruction had grown comfortable enough to believe history had buried their crimes forever. One by one, those crimes were dragged back into the light. Coalition archives thought destroyed suddenly appeared on public networks, revealing the truth of the Soul War. The galaxy learned that humanity had not started the conflict. They learned about peace offers rejected by the Senate, civilian evacuation routes deliberately targeted, and biological weapons used against human colonies despite interstellar law. The image of humanity transformed overnight from aggressor to victim, while the victors of history became monsters in the eyes of their own citizens. Rebellions erupted across dozens of systems. Entire governments collapsed without a single human soldier setting foot on their worlds. Some species surrendered unconditionally and were spared. Others fought to the bitter end and disappeared from history. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the war ended. Human fleets gathered above the ruins of old Earth, where reconstruction ships had already begun restoring oceans, forests, and continents long thought lost forever. The final transmission from humanity was sent to every world in the galaxy. We did not return for conquest. We returned so the dead would be remembered, and so that no civilization would ever believe extermination can be hidden behind time, politics, or victory. After that message, the fleets withdrew beyond human borders and closed their territory to outsiders once more. Trade continued. New governments rose from the ashes of the old empires. A new era of peace slowly spread across the stars. But something fundamental had changed in the consciousness of the galaxy. Military academies stopped teaching the Soul War as a triumph and began teaching it as a warning. Politicians avoided speaking of humanity in public debates. Historians referred to the conflict only in careful whispers. Entire sections of galactic records remained sealed, not because humanity demanded it, but because no one wished to remember what happened when a civilization built on endurance, memory, and determination was pushed beyond extinction itself. Across countless worlds, parents would still tell their children a simple lesson whenever arrogance tempted their leaders toward cruelty. Never mistake silence for weakness. Never assume the defeated are gone forever. And above all else, never give humanity a reason to remember.